Welcome to Athlete Undefined. Today, we get to sit down with Seth Howard, who happens to be the producer of this show. I hope you enjoy hearing about his story as much as I did. Seth, thank you so much for producing this.
Of course.
Thank you so much. We should probably get that out of the way first. And also being willing to be a guest on today's show.
I'm happy to do it. Thank you so much for having me.
Seth, we're going to talk about a lot today.
Right.
One being you producing and having your own company. But I really want to get started with something that I heard you talk about a little bit on your own podcast, which was your recruiting process, college search, and kind of your experience with accepting yourself as not a Division I athlete.
For sure. Yeah, no, it's a good place to start for sure. I think I was like a lot of 17, 18-year-old kids where I was very naive. Like I thought, growing up in the state of Iowa, I think a lot of kids are like, I'm going to play for the Clones or I'm going to play for the Hawks. I don't know which one, but it's just which one am I going to have to choose? I'm going to have to pick one, right? And so I always thought I was going to be a Hawkeye my whole life. I thought I was going to be starting quarterback for the Iowa Hawkeyes. And growing up in Grinnell and Oskaloosa, both schools gave me opportunities to play quarterback, and I would go on visits to all schools, Division III, JUCO, D2, D1, FCS, like you name it. I went on every visit. I went on a visit out to Oregon because I thought I had a chance. I went on to Oregon State. I went to Georgia. Like I went everywhere. And as I'm going through this recruiting process, I'm starting to realize that the athletes in my conference, in my district, are committing to schools, and I don't have anything yet. And so I was so set on going to the University of Iowa. They hadn't even spoken to me once. And so I asked my head coach when I was in high school, I said, hey, please just reach out to them. I don't care what position I play. I don't care where I start on the depth chart. I'll run down on kickoff for 4 years. I don't care. And so I went to a spring game at Iowa, still, again, thought I was going to go to Iowa. And then one of their scouts came and chatted with me in school. And they said, hey, it's our last preferred walk-on spot is between you and one other guy. And I was like, hell yeah, I'm in. Like, that's great. Like, I'm just happy to be considered. And turns out that the last guy they ended up giving it to, his name is Joe Evans. He ends up like being an NFL caliber player. So it turns out they made the right choice. But I remember them saying like, we'll give you a call. We'll let you know. And so I waited forever on that. I waited forever. And finally, they had announced like their preferred walk-ons eventually. And I was like, well, damn it. I guess it's time for me to figure out this whole recruiting thing in a matter of, I wanted to sign by signing day, which was in February. And I remember there's one school that wrote me a letter, and I went to a junior day, and that was Simpson. And so Simpson was one choice. Drake University was another one, who is Division I non-scholarship. And then Iowa Western was another one. And so it's very different because Drake, they wanted me to play defense. Hadn't played defense since 8th grade. And then Iowa Western, if you know anything about Iowa Western, it is a phenomenal junior college, but there was 10 other quarterbacks there. There's 10 other. And I was like, that doesn't really sound like a good nucleus for me to develop. And then Simpson like treated me right. They said, we love you. You're the guy. You're our guy. We love you. And you'll have a chance to play and all this great stuff. And so I commit to Simpson. Super excited. I get on campus and I'm one of 10 quarterbacks on the roster. I'm like, man, I thought I was the guy. Like I thought I was going to be the guy. And so, without getting too far into the weeds, I thought I was going to transfer and I thought I was going to leave. But my parents, they said, you are not going to just like quit and go somewhere else just because you went through a little adversity early. And so I stuck it out, and going back to your first initial question, I talk like crazy, but accepting that,
Mhm.
I think it was forced on me. Like I didn't have a choice but to say I'm gonna go play Division three. It definitely seemed like I'm gonna go play D3 so I can play right away
Yeah.
without having any idea what D3 actually was all about. So definitely was forced on me, but um, I think initially it was, where can I go play quarterback,
Mm.
and where can I play right away? And one of those things was true, and the other was very harshly learned eventually.
Yeah. Tell me about that experience if you're willing to talk about it.
Yeah,
Or maybe just how you stayed a part of the program
yeah,
through, not maybe seeing as much playing time as you would like,
yeah,
and not being the guy,
yeah,
one of 10 guys.
yeah. Within a college locker room, that you try to recruit as many kids as you possibly can, and in my opinion, that's a good way to do it. Especially in Division three. Like, let's get as many kids as we can on this team, and we'll figure out who's good later. And so, I tell the story like I was one of 10, but one kid quit, one kid moved to DB, one kid played running back, one kid just frankly wasn't very good, and then there was one other kid who was kind of on my level. So there were 6 of us or 7 of us freshmen, and it was basically me and one other guy kind of duking it out for this best freshman per se. And the nice part about D3 is there's JV, and I ended up winning the JV starting JV job, and but really was like, man, I just like I feel like I'm better than this. And there's 3 upperclassmen, one guy that was a junior that was playing, and so I'm like, man, I don't really want to wait till I'm a sophomore or till I'm a junior to play. So again, that's where the transfer mindset came to me, but I just worked really hard to, I tried to be a leader to that freshman class, and I showed up early to campus. Like I came to every single 7-on-7. Like I was always around. Like a little arrogant, probably as a 18-year-old, a little delusional,
As
as
everyone is.
right. Yeah. And you think you're going to be the guy. You think you're going to be the man. And at one point I was like, I literally would do anything to just travel. And I remember Ryan Lair, he was a stud defensive back captain for us. He said, when my first day here, he's like, 2 things you got to do. The first thing you got to do is you got to get on the bus, because if you get on the bus, then you're going to play. And so I was like, I'm going to do whatever I have to do to get on that bus. And so I told our offensive coordinator at the time, I was like, I will literally do whatever. I'll hold, I'll play receiver, I'll do anything. So I actually traveled to every single game as a freshman as the 8th receiver, not as the 4th string quarterback, as the backup holder and the 8th string receiver. And so literally every game I thought I was going to play, and I always prepared like I was going to go and be the starting quarterback. And so I think that's what kept me going, is like, hey, you're not 1, not 2, but you're 3 injuries away from playing. You're 3 injuries away from playing. So I was like, those odds are good for me. I'll do that. And so
That's an interesting way to count.
I always thought there was a chance. I
Yeah.
always thought I had a chance to play, and definitely wasn't reassured by the coaches on the staff at the time that I was, hey, keep going, because guess what? They're trying to win games within this season. Like they don't have time to worry about, the 115th guy on the roster. But so yeah, I think just having that mindset, like, hey, I'm right there. I'm eventually going to get an opportunity. And so, but I mean, man, I really had to wait my turn for a long time. And, the again, not getting too far into it, but my sophomore year, we had one guy quit. And so I ended up being the 3rd string, and I would come in as like a wildcat running quarterback. And so I didn't get a ton of playing time, but I came into a couple of games just to specifically run the ball at the quarterback position, and ended up, against one of our games against West Westland, our starter got hurt, and I was at the 3rd string, but I had already played a little bit in that game because I was running the ball a little bit. And so starter gets hurt, and they're just like, screw it, put the kid that's already played in. And so I ended up kind of getting us out of a rough situation and helping us win the game. But that is like the entirety of my like playing career for the most part here, other than, obviously went through COVID, got my season canceled my junior year. And then during COVID, I got hurt my hamstring, and then fast forward an entire year, we're playing, our spring games, and during that COVID year, which that was one of the only, the only game that we played was against Central, and
Mm.
ended up getting hurt again. But our spring season got canceled again because we had a bunch of kids get COVID. And then going into my senior year, you know, basically during COVID, we played Mary Hardin Baylor that year, who won the national title. We lost by a million points. We played Stevens Point, Wisconsin, who they didn't win a game in their league, but they killed us. And then we played Co, and I was out for the year after that. And so that was the extent of my Simpson College playing experience. And so it was unbelievably hard. And I think the thing that kept bringing me back to just stay involved was the teammates that I already had on the team, and to still try to be a good teammate, because I was a captain at the time too. I was not a very good captain. As soon as I got hurt, I disengaged completely and was not a phenomenal leader. I was a better leader as a fifth-year transfer quarterback to a different school than I was as the starting quarterback at the school that I'd been at for 4 years. But long-winded answer, but
What do you think that what do you think changed for you going from a captain who was, like you said, not the best captain
mhm.
to being, a great leader on that other team?
Yeah, I think age probably came with it a little bit. Going through an injury kind of put things into perspective a little bit. Um,
Did you, I guess, let's back up a little bit. Was getting your master's, so you transferred to University of Wisconsin River Falls, right?
mhm.
Um, and your first year there, you were an undergraduate student,
So I graduated from Simpson.
graduated from
Graduated from Simpson, yes, and then went to University of Wisconsin River Falls to get my
Okay.
master's.
So, was getting your master's always part of the plan,
Yeah.
or were you always wanted to get your master's?
Well, it depends on if you ask my mom or if you ask me. So thankfully enough, my parents were very kind to pay for my school. They were in a position to where they could do that, and so we were getting to, I had 2 years of eligibility left. I had COVID and I had a med red. And so there's two options here. I knew I wanted to exhaust that eligibility. And so it was either A, stick at Simpson, get the same degree, keep paying the same amount of money, like keep paying money to get the same degree at the same place. And I wasn't really having a great time here at the time. And all of my friends were graduating. Like I was really good friends with that upper class, all the upperclassmen that were older than me. I wanted to walk and graduate with them. And so I ended up graduating with them. But I did know I wanted to get my master's because I thought there was a chance I wanted to get into coaching.
Mm.
And so having your master's really helps if you're going to get into the coaching world. And also, again, my mom was like, love her to death, but she was like, I am not going to pay for the same degree for 2 more
Yeah.
years.
Yep.
Like, I
That's
will
fair.
help you get your master's, but that's where it ends. And so I was like, that needs to be what I put my priorities towards is getting that master's. And while I have that opportunity, I should take that and run with it. And so it was trying to find a school that, man, I did some crazy research trying to find a new school. I was like, where has a good master's program, preferably in the business world? What school is decent, pretty good at football, and also their starting quarterback graduated. And so I was going through like teams from the previous year, like, okay, did this quarterback walk for graduation? Did he walk? Because COVID gave everybody a million different years.
Yeah.
We're still kind of,
Yeah.
there's still some repercussions of that happening today in college sports. But I was like, all these metrics, and there was 3 schools. It was Redlands University, it was Linfield, and it was University of Wisconsin River Falls. And University of Wisconsin River Falls had a MBA. It had the quarterback had just left, and they went 9-2 that previous year. So I'm like,
Gotta be the one.
bingo.
Bingo.
And they were the only one that responded to my emails. So
So we'll take it.
we'll take it.
The chance.
Yeah.
So, okay. So you get to River Falls. What do you envision? Are you hopeful that your football experience is going to be a little bit
Yeah.
different? Are you, tell me about what your expectations were in terms of football.
Well, I thought I was going to be the man again,
You
and
still are.
yeah, I continuously think I'm going to still be the man eventually. But, so, I loved my head coach at River Falls. He was the one that recruited me. He was my quarterback coach. And it's kind of the same thing. Every recruiting experience for me has been the same kind of thing where they said, we love you. You got a chance to play. And, um, and I expect to be the Joe Burrow of D3 where I was
Mhm.
at a school and then I transferred and then we win the whole thing. Right. And so I get there and again, I show up early. I get on campus early. Like I moved, I could have moved in August. I moved in right after I graduated from here. I moved straight from Simpson to River Falls, nothing in between because I want to start building those relationships and being a part of that school, that system, that team. And then turns out there's a really, really talented quarterback that's already there. And that kid is still there. And he has broken every single record that they've ever had there, including yards passing, total offense,
Mm.
total touchdowns scored, literally every category you can imagine. And you can imagine I'm a little pissed.
Yeah.
I'm like, I thought, again, I thought I was supposed to be the guy here. I was going to do this whole thing. And so I was not a happy camper because like I am literally here to exhaust my eligibility
Yeah.
as well as get my
And get a
master's
master's.
and get my master's as well. But I could have
Thanks,
done that.
Mom.
I could have done that. Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks, Mom. Shout out. But I could have done that anywhere.
Yeah.
But I came here to play football, and so I'm not playing. That kid ends up not missing in a snap the entire year. He
Mhm.
doesn't come out of the game once. Now I get in some backup roles when we're beating the crap out of teams, but definitely not like
The guy.
I'm not. No, and I'm not happy about it. And
Yeah.
sure enough, like we get to the end of that year, and I enter the transfer portal again.
Mhm.
I'm like, I'm leaving. Like, I'm gonna go somewhere. I'm gonna go to some crap school. I'm gonna go to like some school that never wins, just so that I can play. And eventually, I had built such a good relationship with my teammates.
Mhm.
I met my girlfriend there, and I knew I wanted to keep pursuing that. And I said that if I leave here, man, I'm gonna make such a big mistake. And I texted my head coach, and I was like, Coach, I'm getting out of this transfer portal deal. I am going to come back. I'm going to be the backup. I'm going to help the starter out however I can. I don't care what you want me to do. Like I was dubbed the best holder in the history of the program, and so I was like, I'm going to continue to do that. And so I didn't care what my role is. I loved my teammates. I loved my coaches. I loved that school, and so I said I'm going to come back and just work super hard and be the backup and do whatever I had to do. And so I came back and um, you know, again, without getting too much further, is I made it to spring ball. I was as strong as I ever was, and I tore my Achilles
Mhm.
in the first scrimmage of our spring ball. And um, ultimately, as soon as that happened, I knew my playing career was over. So I already had a couple injuries, and I'm sure we'll talk about that as well. But I knew right then and there, playing career was over. So
After you tore your Achilles, then you had one more year. Fall and then spring, right?
I had one more
Spring
year. I had one more
eligibility.
year of eligibility, and I had another semester worth of grad
Okay.
work to do.
So you are injured just like you were at Simpson,
Mm-hmm.
but you feel like you were a better leader for that team.
Mm.
It sounds like you did a lot of redefining of what commitment is, who you could be for your team by not necessarily being the starting quarterback. Share with me some of those thoughts and what kind of went into you deciding to be committed to that team.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned relationships are really important. Um, what else within yourself was helped you become a better person in that for that team?
Yeah. Um, I think my whole life and this kind of even goes into what I'm doing today with Division One rejects, but I've always kind of been the lead guy in
Mhm.
whatever it was. Like I was the starting quarterback, or I was the goalie, or I
Mhm.
was. My mom would love to say I was the lead in the school play, but I
Mhm.
was not about it. I always felt like I was kind of when we did podcasts when I was in school here. I was the main host. I was the
Mhm.
producer. I was the did all that. But
Unrelated. Do you have any siblings?
no,
Okay.
only child. Yeah,
Just wondering.
yeah. So again, only
Okay.
child syndrome as
Yeah.
well, right? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so I think realizing that you don't have to have the spotlight on you. You don't have to be the lead all the time. You don't have to even be the lead some of the time. And I think now with my role within Division One Rejects, like I was doing my own podcast called the Left Hash Call. I still plan on continuing to do that in some form, but I got asked, like, is not being the main host, like, does that bother you at all? And honestly, like, if you would have asked like 17-year-old Seth or even 22-year-old Seth, like, how do you feel about that? I'd be like, no, I'm going to be the guy. Like, I'm going to be the host. I'm going to be him. But serving a greater purpose is what gets me fired up now. Like, I love helping, being some sort of catalyst for a bigger picture idea. And so that, I jumped on the coaching staff there at River Falls, and that's how I got into coaching. And so the bigger picture for me was, I want to help this team win, even if I'm not on the team as a player, because I wasn't the starter. And so I thought, okay, what's the next best way? Okay, I'll help as the backup, but then I get hurt. And so I'm like, okay, what's the next best way? And I helped that team more as a first year coach who didn't know anything about coaching than I did my 4 years at Simpson and my 1 year as a player at River Falls.
Don't you wish almost that you could have coached for a year before you played, and that would have given you the perspective?
Oh my gosh. I
Just a
would have
little
been an unbelievable player if I would have known all that stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. No, I would have been so much better, but yeah,
Just
no.
in terms of attitude.
Oh my gosh. I know. I was always so moody, and my well-being was determined by how good I was playing, or where I was on the depth chart, or what my role was on the team versus like, am I happy in general? Do I feel like I am giving it my best? Do I feel like I'm being a good person versus like just being a good player? Like like after I was done playing, like I could not tell you any of my stats. I couldn't tell you. I could tell you our wins and losses, but like I couldn't tell you a single stat from any of my other teammates. Like I don't know any of that, and they don't remember any of my stats either.
Besides that one guy, because he was insanely good, right?
Oh, I'll tell you. I don't. Yeah, it's hard to not to forget because he breaks his own record like once a week. So, yeah. But Caleb, isn't it? Caleb Bly, still playing there, and he's unbelievable. I actually coached him that last year, and that was part of the thing. Is like my role was to get him better, to make him better, to make somebody else better. That wasn't me, and so all the lessons that I learned playing, I wanted to put everything that was in here into his brain so that he would be everything that I was plus everything that he already was.
Yeah.
So
okay, so you got the opportunity to coach at both of your alma maters, which is pretty unique experience.
Yeah.
When you specifically, I'm interested in when you came back to Simpson for that year of coaching, and you're a very dedicated part-time coach.
So I don't even know if part-time is a good way to put it, but yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean,
giving all my time more like
the work that you were putting in is more than full-time.
Right.
The pay is less than part-time.
Yeah.
To say the
much
least.
less.
But tell me, attitude-wise, perspective-wise, how you came back to a place that you found yourself not wanting to be at anymore.
Yeah, no,
Not wanting to be at anymore.
Yeah, I participated in both alumni golf outings, back-to-back days actually. I was at one, went to the other same weekend, which was
your golf game. Were they happy to have
fine. They're happy to have me. I was not the worst player on my team, but yeah, that was quite the experience. Literally I was like, I'm probably the first player in the transfer portal era to play in both golf alumni outings in the same weekend. So
now that's a stat.
ESPN stat. I might be the first one ever. Yeah, but the thing with coaching at River Falls is I love that staff. I loved that staff. Still do. I go back to see them all the time. That was a very easy transition for me because I continued to coach the position that I was already in. I was very comfortable. I was not comfortable making $0 because at River Falls I didn't make any money. So I wanted to find a job, I wanted to find a place that would actually pay me at least something, because I didn't want to. My rent was rather expensive at River Falls, and so I needed to find a job that would actually pay me something. And so,
source of income.
Right, I needed something, and so I got a call from my buddy Scott O'Dario, who was currently at the time coaching at Simpson and former teammate of mine, and he asked if I had any interest in coaching the receivers at Simpson. First response was, hell no. Like, I want nothing to do with Simpson because I remember where that place was. I don't want to be around that. But I knew that it would be a good opportunity for my professional development to go and interview at Simpson with Coach Hoskins. And man, as soon as I sat down with Coach Hoskins and heard him talk about his vision for the program, where he saw things going, how he wanted to handle recruiting, how he wanted to develop players, and how he wanted to recruit the state of Iowa, man, I was blown away by him. And I felt like, the pay wasn't awesome. I was going to get paid $10,000 for the entire year. And I had a couple opportunities at some different places, but I said, you know what? Like, how many opportunities do you have to coach at both your alma maters? And so I'd never coached receivers before, but I was going to learn everything I could. And so I jumped into it. And I'm very grateful for both opportunities to coach at both places. And they both taught me a lot about myself, about, I think it did help that the staff that I was going to go coach at now wasn't the staff that I played for at Simpson, because that staff had turned over and completely new coaching staff. And so I think that would have been a little different. Couple players that I had played with were seniors at the time. And so that was a little unique, but at the time I was the starting quarterback. I was a captain of the team. And so I was kind of already in that quote leadership role, but I wasn't necessarily so I was kind of already leading them, for example. And so I had a couple guys that I had coached that I was coaching that I played with. So it wasn't too awkward, but definitely unique.
So not only one season-ending injury, two.
Yeah.
Then you lengthen your football career even longer and become a coach.
Yeah.
So, definitely holding on to that football identity that you've had for so long. And then you end up making the decision to step away from coaching and start your own business.
Yeah.
Which is, there's two huge things there. One, you're stepping away from football, and two, the risk of starting your own business. Tell me some of the, deciding factors. What led you to making that decision?
Yeah, it's terrifying every moment, every
Well,
single.
we're grateful for it.
Yeah, no.
But
Yeah, football was all I ever was from the age of, 8 to 25 and a half. It was all I knew. It was all I was about. Pretty much every single day from the moment I started playing football to the moment I stopped coaching was, what does football look like today? Whether it was rehabbing, whether it was who am I going to throw to today? What work am I going to do today? What plays am I going to look over? What defense am I going to study? Like, everything was about playing quarterback or coaching. And so I got into coaching because I really enjoyed coaching at River Falls, and I enjoyed coaching that with that group because I really enjoyed it. Not necessarily because I loved the profession or what the profession paid you or whatever, but I enjoyed like the people. And so when I go to Simpson, it's not that I didn't enjoy the people, because I did. I literally talk to them every day here still. But I realized that I didn't love the profession that I was in. I didn't like the data input. I liked recruiting because I liked talking to people, but I didn't like spending hours recruiting a kid that was just going to blow me off in the end. I didn't, but there's lessons there that I'm sure we'll talk about. But I just knew that I didn't like the profession. I didn't, and I saw myself in 20 years and thought, it was long hours, which that you're a coach, you totally understand that. But like, it was get home or leave at probably around 6:30. I'd be lucky to leave at 6:30, but leave at 6:30. Go throughout the course of my day, get done with practice around 6. upload the film. That gets me done around, hopefully around 7. And then we got to watch more film. We got to watch film with the staff. And this isn't every day, but probably leaving around 9:30 to anywhere from 9:30 to 11 o'clock every night. And so I get home to my girlfriend Maisie, and she's like, "Do you want to watch a movie? Do you want to do it?" And I'm like, I won't even eat dinner. I just go to bed. And so, um, and I saw a lot of coaches that missed their kids growing up, to be honest. And some personal priorities were starting to kind of creep their way into my head. And I thought, if I miss my kids growing up and I worry about coaching these other,
Kids.
helping other kids grow up, essentially, like, will that be a fulfilling life for me? And I just said, honestly, no. Like, I would rather give up coaching and provide support to football in a different way than, like, sacrifice my personal life and sacrifice my future family to just be about football all the time. Because I think, my girlfriend Maisie, she's got other things that she wants to do too that don't involve football. And I think, I want to be with her forever. And so I need to make sure that we got her priorities 50-50 versus just being a football coach all the time.
Mhm.
So
That's nice of you to recognize that Macy doesn't necessarily want to be football all the time.
and she loves ball. She knows ball, but
she loves it.
and she's still around ball with what we're doing right now. But I mean,
She also loves you, right? And
right.
spending time
She
with you.
definitely was not like, hey, we need to give up football or anything. But I saw that she's got other things she wants to do too, and I think football is definitely going to get in the way of
In that capacity.
in that
Coaching.
capacity,
Yeah,
right? For
would get in the
sure,
way.
right.
Okay, so there's something that we definitely need to talk about,
Mhm.
and that is your recent marathon.
Oh yes, of course.
And which is huge. Congratulations.
Makes me want to drink some water real quick.
um when athletes step away from their sport, you step away from coaching, physical activity and that structure is sometimes it's hard to keep up with. It's
Yeah.
hard to make your own schedule, um, and stay committed to that. Tell me, tell me about running. Quarterback. Sometimes you ran, but not a
I was a
lot.
runner.
You were a runner.
I was a runner, but not a ton.
Not a
Yes.
ton. You said you got in some games for running and
Yeah.
stuff, but tell me how running came to be,
Yeah.
what role that plays in your life after you're done playing, coaching, and tell me about how the marathon went.
Yeah. As far as like running at this current as we sit today, like I don't even want to think about running because I just finished up my first marathon, and so
Me neither, and I haven't. I didn't run the marathon, so
yeah, no, my running for me, like, so when I was coaching, like I would like walk up a flight of stairs and be tired, or I would be coaching and some of these receivers would just be running around me and I'm winded all the time. Definitely looking in the mirror, didn't love what I saw. I was eating a lot more than I was working off. And so I just said, I got to do something. And I had a bad relationship with lifting because every time that I went into a weight room, it was, let's lift as much as we can.
Yeah.
Let's burn yourself. Let's gas yourself out as much as you can. And, not necessarily that's like the right way to do things, but so I needed to do something different, whatever that was. And so I decided one day I was literally on this campus. I was getting out of the office here, and I ran 4 laps around the track. Just ran a mile. Ran as fast as I could. I ran like a 7:40-minute mile,
which
and
is good.
it's good, but for endurance athletes, if you want to run further, you're never going to get there. And so did a lot of research about like what would it take for me to do that? Like what would it take for me to get to the point where I could run 3 miles or 5 miles or maybe even run a half marathon or a marathon one day. And so I learned a lot about like zone 2 training and running slower to run longer and run further. And so when I was here coaching last year, every day I ran 2 miles. It took me sometimes 30 minutes, sometimes it took me 20 minutes, sometimes it took me, 15 minutes, whatever the case was. And so I ran 2 miles every single day, tried to run it different routes, up hills, whatever. And I learned a lot about myself. I went to some places where like I was thinking, it's where I decided not to coach anymore,
Mhm.
was on one of those runs. Started running a little further and a little further, and I would get here in the morning. I would break down some film. I would meet with the receivers that had class during our meeting time, and then I would go on my run. And I would think about life. I would think about football. I would think about my future. I would think about all sorts of different things. And my offensive coordinator at River Falls, he was a big runner, and he always told me that he was not a good runner, but it was a form of meditation for him.
Mm.
And so that was, I wanted to try it, and I ran like every single day for like 30 days straight. And um, I think the most amount of days that I've taken off from running is 7 days, and that's this stint since my marathon. And yeah, signed up for the St. Patty's Day half marathon in March of this year. Had a really good race. Battled through some injuries, when training for the marathon, and man, I've run over, I think, like 1,100 miles, so over 1,000 miles in a year. And like I would consider myself definitely a runner now. Like, and I will never not run other than at post marathon. And yeah, I just ran the Twin Cities Marathon a week ago from Sunday. Brutal in every single way
Mhm.
you could possibly imagine. Went out a little too fast and end up going into survival mode for 2.5 hours. But unbelievable experience. I remember right after that race, I started bawling my eyes out. And I think a lot of people that do endurance sports, they have a lot of, they associate a lot of that with like trauma. And
Mm.
people that go through trauma are also, it's the same kind of emotion that you go through when you're dealing with endurance sports. And once I got done with that marathon, I just started crying, like bawling my eyes out, because I think it was a long time coming for me to do something athletically, that would define like that who I was. And so, finally being able to do something that was for me, that I put in the work and I actually did something and I finished something, because I hadn't done that honestly since high school.
Mm.
And so I think all those reps and all those lifting sessions and all those throwing sessions and all those practices and games that I didn't play in, like, were kind of all wrapped into this marathon. And um, finishing was the only thing on my mind. I had a
Mhm.
time in mind, but didn't hit that. But finishing that marathon was just a testament to what I, could actually do.
Mhm.
So
And I'm sorry, I hate to keep coming back to this theme, but it gave you a chance to be the guy that you had control over,
yeah, yeah,
and that's gotta feel good.
yeah, yeah. And I think on top of that, I think it's important to, I don't know if I'll run, a marathon for a while, but I think it's important to do something challenging, and
Mm.
maybe really just shitty once a day. Like, that's not
Yeah,
very fun.
I
And
think there's a lot of truth
whether
to
it's
that.
lifting, whether it's running, and for me right now, that it's running. And I think you got to do something difficult and something that sucks once a day.
Mhm.
And I think it's just good for, um, every time I've run ever, I'm always like, man, in the moment that sucks, but right
Mhm.
now I feel phenomenal.
Yeah.
But yeah, the opportunity to finally do something that I set out to do, that I was going to be the guy quote for, and actually finish it and do it, it's pretty satisfying. So
And, and therapeutic, right?
yeah, so honestly, unlike, I do, I'm very a big supporter of counseling and doing therapy and for your mental health. And that's something that I do as well. And I think talking to someone, as well as like finding that other outlet that you can do by yourself,
Mm.
man, I'm in a much better like headspace than I was like before I started running. So
Yeah. Now, did you see a counselor through college?
from time to time,
Yeah.
when I was hurt, I saw one, because again, it was like that identity crisis. Like, all I ever knew was playing sports. And so, I saw a counselor here while I was at Simpson. I saw another counselor when I was sophomore in high school. I was kind of going through some hormonal changes that I didn't
Mhm.
quite know what to do with. And so, was a rather angry 16-year-old. And so, seeing in some relationship stuff as well, I was trying to work through, and I was also going to transfer high schools as well. So I found it was really good to talk to somebody. And so and then, eventually didn't for a while. And then, I was making this big life transition into owning my own business now. And, um, was really going through it for a while and just felt like it was going to be really necessary for me to actually talk to somebody frequently. And I see a counselor a couple times a month, and have a really good relationship. And I think that's really important to have a good relationship with a counselor. And talk, yeah, like I said, talk a couple times a month, and that's been awesome for me. And I would recommend anybody that's even considering therapy. Like, it's one of the best things I've ever done. So
I'm happy to hear that. And somewhere to talk about all of those thoughts that you come up with running,
yeah.
because your mind, when you're running or when you're really, in the zone with any sort of exercise, I think that's when
Hmm.
we can be our most creative, and also really get in touch with our deepest inner self.
Yeah.
So having all those thoughts, you're starting to amp up your training, making a huge career transition, having all of these thoughts and nowhere to go with them. I think
Yeah.
that's awesome that you use that as an outlet. So,
Yeah.
sorry, I'm gonna flip this.
It's all right. How we doing? We good? You guys good?
Not too
You
much
good?
longer, I promise.
Okay. No, I'll go forever. These guys can get going if they want to. Not you. You got to stay. How we doing? That audio good? Still good? Beautiful.
Okay.
This is great. I usually I have to stress about making sure everything sounds good and looks good, but
Thank you.
Mr. Frank is my beautiful intern.
Does my hair look okay?
Colleague. Yeah, you look great.
Okay.
What do you want to be?
He thinks
Production assistant?
how
Yeah,
do
we
you
can
get
do
that?
paid intern. I
How do
don't
you
have
get that?
any money to pay you, but you can be a paid intern in some form. 30 cents a year, baby.
Okay, talking about career transition,
Yes.
let's talk a little bit about Sizzle Media, Left Hash Call.
Yes.
Um, something that a reason for me working on this project was or is, that so many media outlets disregard the majority of people like you and me,
Mhm.
who didn't play big time sports and only go for the stories of the minority, which is, the top percent, whatever that is. I'm explaining this
It's
so
okay.
badly. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Just cut it out in one sentence or two
Okay.
sentences.
What did I start? What was my first part of that sentence?
Starting Sizzle Media.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, um, back to career transition, starting Sizzle Media,
Yeah.
starting your podcast, the left
Mhm.
hash call. Tell me your goal for that. What inspired that? Um,
That's the
this is the
problem.
part that
It's the problem with scripting
I
is
know.
if you don't hit that line, you're pissed.
I know.
Versus like nowadays, I have a theme and I just roll with it.
I know. That's what
So pick whatever the theme is in your head and then ad lib.
okay. I'm just not, I need to talk less, is what. Okay. So, talking about career transition,
Mm-hmm.
Sizzle Media, left hash call. Tell me where that's at, your goal of those projects.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get into that a little bit.
Yeah. So my parents are both entrepreneurs. I think we need to start there. My mom is a developer, owns hotels. She's ran the Chamber of Commerce and was the Chamber of Commerce director in Grinnell. So always been an entrepreneur, like literally since she was a kid. And dad's the same way. He's an independent contractor. And so I think I've always had that entrepreneurial mindset.
Mhm.
Always loved being so I loved being a CEO without knowing I was being a CEO.
Mhm.
I loved like moving the dials and figuring out where to put these pieces to make something go right. And I think, um, you know, I had these skills with video and graphics, and so I didn't want to work for anybody else.
Mhm.
Like, and some people, when I say that, get offended because they're like, well, I work for somebody else. And I'm like, well, that's you. That's great. But for me, I didn't want to work for anybody else because in coaching, you're told where to be, when to be there, literally 15 hours a day, all the time. And so I wanted to be my own thing, my own person. I want to be my own boss. I want to be my own everything. And so it was like, okay, what skills do I have? This stuff right here that we're using right now. This is my skill. And so I felt like I had a little bit of a business background with my parents, and I think coaching has taught me so much about the business world. Like recruiting is just like sales and relationships and all that good stuff. But
And your master's, right?
bingo,
Can't
I
forget
also
about
did
that.
I always forget to mention that, but yes, I have a
Yes.
master's in business administration, so I
Yeah.
have that background, right? And so I felt like I'm gonna go all in on being a creative person. And so, yeah, I mean, I spent the entire winter of 2024 to 2025 figuring out what this whole thing looks like. A lot of back and forth with people that I trust, a lot of people, including my parents, including girlfriend Maisie, including everybody that I've ever known to own a business, everybody that I've ever known to be in the creative space. And so I felt like the niche there is there's, you know, Georgia football, for example, has an army of graphics people, video people, photographers. They have so many people that are just dedicated to Georgia football. Apple, for example, literally, what else you need to say? They literally have an army that's just dedicated to their marketing, their video, all that good stuff. And then cities as well, like New York City or Boston or Austin, Texas, like they have video departments built into their cities. And so I said, there needs to be somebody that is helping these smaller businesses in these smaller cities and these smaller teams as well,
Who don't have
who don't have
the entire,
access,
yeah.
right? They don't have I'm not saying
Yeah.
like, and I'm not saying like I'm trying to be like the cheapest option, but like I want to make it at least affordable to where they can have like that pro exposure or that pro level creative stuff, whatever that looks like. And so when I say small businesses, small cities, small teams, I don't mean like, I mean anything that isn't Georgia or Apple or New York City. So everything else that falls underneath of that, that's who I want to help. And so Drake Football, for example, they're one of my clients. I do all their graphic design. I run their social media. Travel Iowa, I work with Travel Iowa promoting different cities around the state of Iowa. And Travel Iowa, not saying that's a small city or a small organization, but I've hitched my wagon to them so that I can help these other smaller cities. And so that's been very fulfilling. And then as far as businesses, that's kind of like the maybe some of the one-off projects that I work on is, you know, somebody needs a bunch of reels for social media, or somebody needs, you know, a podcast made, or somebody needs a documentary. I'm still waiting to, you know, still trying to figure out that first documentary that I want to work on, but I wanted to be somebody that could be a creative outlet, a marketing agency that could basically help them get what they need without completely spending your entire budget on one thing. So it's been incredibly rewarding, especially, you know, working with Travel Iowa, going to all these different cities. I was fortunate enough to get in touch with their marketing director, or the director of tourism in the state of Iowa, Amy Ziegler. She's awesome to work with. And so it's basically a marketing co-op, and we work with 10 different cities. We've been to Ankeny, Fort Dodge, Oskaloosa, where I'm from. That was awesome. Cedar Rapids. We're going to Decorah next year. We're going to Sioux Center. We're going to Burlington next year. Where else have we been?
Davenport, if you want us, we'll come. Right?
There we go.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Davenport, if we want it, we'll come. But working with all these different cities has been so fun. And I think that's kind of been the thing that I've figured out is like, what's the bigger entity? Let's get them to pay for half of it and then get the other side to pay for half of it. And then that's kind of my business model that I've been working off of for a while. So,
yeah, and that allows you to reach those people, like you said.
right.
So, and that's fulfilling to you. So
much so.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And tell me a little bit about the left hash ball.
Yeah. So I'd been in the football world, and I've been in coaching, you know, offices. I've been in the football, you know, offices, and I knew that there were stories that weren't being told, and I really wanted these stories to be told. And so I started a podcast called The Left Hash Call, and it's basically all about coaching, different levels. I've had coaches on from the high school you've never heard of. I've had coaches on at the University of Iowa, Coastal Carolina, coaches that some pretty big names, and everything in between. I definitely focus more on the D3, and especially the assistant coaches and head coaches at Division 3. And so that was kind of where that started. I think I have 25 4 episodes out. Those have been awesome. I love that. But the bigger thing that's really come from that is Division One rejects. And Kobe Manzo, who's our producer, our host, we chatted back in, I think it was like April or May. I just reached out to him and just asked him for advice, like, hey, what does this space look like? What did you do to kind of get to where you are? Because they got 40,000 followers aggregate across all their social media platforms, and I uh, I just asked him for advice, and then by the end of our conversation, I jokingly said, hey, if you need another person on your show, I'll bring my own mic. And it was a joke, but like he was like, "Really? You'd want to join?" And I was like,
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
"Yeah, I'd want
Not
to like
like, yeah.
legitimately, I would definitely do it." And so,
Yeah.
um, I did one show with them, and I think they kind of did it as like a test run, and it went really well. And then I started like kind of poking Kobe about the small school Saturday show that we've been doing, and I was like, "Hey, what is this going to look like for you this year?" I was like, I'll do whatever I got to do to do this with you and make it an incredible show." And we've Kobe and I have gone back and forth, and we've Kobe is one of my closest friends now. We've done 4 small school Saturdays. We started at River Falls for Salma, then we went to Duluth versus Mankato week 2, and then actually we've done 3, and then we went to Bethel versus St. John's. Actually the same week as my marathon, which was a marathon weekend for sure. And actually this weekend we're going to Platteville playing lacrosse. And so it's been the most fun I've ever had with football my entire life. Honestly, like those, being able to promote those schools, give them coverage that they wouldn't otherwise have. And it's a version of ESPN's College Game Day is exactly what it is. And so these schools are not going to get that pro level coverage, but we wanted to be the ones to do it. And so that, as much as Left Test Call has been fun, this is the next big thing for me. Like this is the thing that I want to put all my eggs into, or all the eggs into the basket that I want to put it into. And so Division One Rejects has been so much fun, and I've loved doing every single thing with that. Has been awesome. So
I have to ask, and I know that this, um, you joined the group quite a while after Kobe had
yeah,
started doing what he's doing.
5 years almost.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about the title. Division
Yeah,
One Rejects. I
yeah.
mean, not to make this full circle, but looking back at your recruiting process,
I am fully a Division One reject.
yeah,
100,000%. We all are. Everybody in this room is. Yeah.
But I mean, for a name that's like, you know, half of me wants to get defensive and say, no,
Yeah.
listen, I could play
I
with those
know.
people. The other half of me respects it. Decision wise, going into that title, do you have anything, to kind of say on behalf of the group of guys that you work with?
Yeah. So Division One rejects. It originally started as D2 Dorm Talk, and Kobe said, "Hey, I'm gonna age out of that eventually. We're not gonna live in a dorm forever. Not gonna be.
As
We
good as it is, yeah.
don't want to just talk about D2." And so, I think I don't know the exact like where the D1 rejects came from, but it's double to poke fun at our own selves as much as like, hey, we didn't make the cut. Like we weren't that guy.
It hurt at the time.
Yeah, it hurt. It sucked. But at the end of the day, we want to keep it lighthearted, because guess what? Like, as much as like it is like, man, I didn't get to play with D1. It's like at the end of the day, like, hey man, we had awesome experiences where we were at. And I think, yeah, some people like my mom, I remember first time telling her, she's like, oh my gosh, that's so offensive. And I'm like, no, this is exactly what it needs to be. And so I love the name. I mean, it's funny. It's true.
It's true.
What is going on my phone?
Maisie. Maisie. It might be. It might be.
I'm in the middle of a pod, my brother. Hey, we're talking about you though right now.
We're talking about you right now.
Hey, where did D1 rejects the name come from?
This is a better question for those people who might be offended.
Either D1 rejects or D2 dorm talk, and the other one was...
she's got a different question for you.
Okay, what do you say to people who say that's offensive.
That sounds like an interview or question from Sunday Conversations.
It is.
With
Directly
Caleb
from
Preston.
Show It.
Mhm. Oh, now Jimmy's in here. Oh no.
We got the whole group. All right.
I'm doing a pod.
Anyways, boys, I was going to show you this. Sorry, I'll just show you this.
Okay.
This is wild. Live call
Oh, that's sick.
with the D1 rejects.
Okay, I gotta go. That's sick. I don't know why that got broken
So,
through my.
Maisie, we thought you were the only one that could get
Turns
through
out
the
not.
Do Not Disturb. Also, that group chat, but understandably so.
Yeah, great. We got the real time update from the boys. But anyways, as far as the name, some people would call it offensive, but I just think it's true, and I think it pokes fun at ourselves as well. But and I think it's hey, we're gonna showcase the guys that are like us, that are in D3 and in D2 and NAI. So I love every piece about it.
You said you're an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
Most wild invention that you have had in your mind?
In my mind, wow, that's a good question.
Thank you.
Invention.
I always have them.
Me and Kobe have talked about this before. We've always said that we've wanted to have a space where creatives could go to basically rent the space in like a group. What am I trying to say? Like a community workspace, but for creatives specifically.
Like a podcast studio.
Yeah, like, hey, we have a dedicated room that's just for podcasting. We have all these cameras that you can use. We have, then there's work areas that you can mingle and meet people in, while also us having our show, like, have a set there as well. And like we have a workspace like that's totally for Division I rejects. And so having like a group working area or a group, gosh, what's the name of that? Whatever. But like a place where creatives can go, use equipment, meet other creatives, work on projects, an office if they need it for quiet area, laptops that are really high powered that people can just rent, like, or pay a membership to go and do. Like, I think that would just be awesome to do. So
this theme, this overarching theme of you wanting to give a voice or helping people get to a point to share their stories, that's like very consistent throughout all that you do.
Yeah. I don't know why that's been a thing, to be honest. I think that's maybe just a little bit baked into my DNA a little bit, like helping the little guy out. And I think it probably comes right back to my parents being small business owners. I mean, they've gone through so much to give me like a great life. And so, nobody ever spoke up for them. And so I think being able to speak up for, and also having teammates that have had incredible stories and, coaches that go through a lot. Like, I've had coaches that have lost children, and I've had coaches that have, lost their parents at a young age, and being able to tell their stories. Like, it's just, I think, not being the one that talks about myself, but helps amplify others, I think is just, that's what fires me up, is talking about other people and how cool they are.
And it gives you an opportunity for all of those other people to connect and realize that they're not alone.
Yeah.
And I think that's important too, where maybe, I want to give credit to your personal experience too, although you want to give credit to everyone else, but your experience in college being one of the many, and not really having your own voice, but trying to make your own voice. I think you overcame a lot of challenges within that, and using that, even though it's not at the forefront of your mind. That's what I hear in your story right now is, I was that guy who wasn't noticed, and now I want to, help others be noticed.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I love other people's stories. And yeah, I think everybody's story is what, it might sound silly, but is what brought them to who they are now. And so, it's the old Ted Lasso or Walt Whitman quote is "Be curious, not judgmental." And I definitely I catch myself being judgmental every once in a while. But if a coach is a hard ass, there's probably a reason why he's a hard ass. If a coach is like, if a coach is like the nicest guy ever, it's probably a reason why. He probably went through some kind of transformation, or he's always been that way. What's that reason why? And so being able to kind of get through to them every once in a while, especially coaches who are, surly at times, like kind of breaking that mold a little bit is fun for me.
Okay, what is next
Mm.
on your to-do? What's next in your goal? I know you have a big show this weekend, so I'm sure that's something that you're
Yeah.
prepping for, but long-term, short-term goals, not only for yourself, but maybe your involvement with D1 Rejects too.
Yeah.
Anything you got on your mind?
Yeah, I think as I've gotten further into this Sizzle Media thing, the Division One Rejects thing, I continue to set really, really high goals for every single thing that we do. I think like I want to grow Sizzle into, a $1 million media production company. Like that's, $1 million plus media production company. I want Division One Rejects to be like, I don't want to say, I want to make it a full-time gig on top of my other full-time gig, on top of my other full-time gig.
Yeah.
Like
There's time for it.
I want Division One Rejects to be what we do on a daily basis. And I want Sizzle to help with that. And I want like I have all the like what I'm trying to get at is I have so many long-term, very high achieving, like monetary success, all these big time goals. But honestly, at the same time, I think I've also slowed down a little bit of my goals. I think a lot of personal goals are coming into the forefront. I think we are in this society that is in like that go one more mentality all the time. Like you always got to be better. You always got to be the next thing. But slowing down a little bit and kind of appreciating the moment that you're in and thinking about like what is important today. Like what's going to make me a better boyfriend, a future husband today? Like what can I do? Not just spending hours at my computer, because I think if I spend all this time like at my computer and I burn myself out doing Sizzle, then I'm not going to be a good boyfriend or a good son or a good husband one day or a good father one day. So I think right now, while I'm still learning to make time for the little things and making time for my personal life as well is going to set me up for a healthier life than trying to burn myself out all the time. And so as much as I do have these higher achieving goals, I want to make sure that I'm filling my cup in really important ways in my life as well. So a lot of future goals. Gonna do an Ironman, half Ironman eventually. 70.3 as far as fitness is concerned, but honestly,
I was surprised if you already had the Ironman scheduled.
No, yeah, September 20th of next year. So
actually,
haven't signed up, but it's so expensive to run these Ironmans. It's like thousands of dollars. So we'll figure that out. But I think a lot of really high achieving goals. But yeah, I think it's okay to slow down a little bit and take time to appreciate the short term things as well. So
yeah, and I've said this before, but you kind of hinted at it. The self-care piece.
Yeah.
And making sure you slow down, making sure you meet with your counselor, making sure you're taking care of those little things, that can give you the energy and the resilience that you need to get through some of the challenges that come with owning a small business, right?
Yeah. No, and it can get overwhelming in a hurry, especially, everybody looks at their life and sees all these problems at times, but like problems to me are just things that need to be figured out, no matter how big or small. And some of those problems have little, problems within it that you got to figure out. And so, being able to just look at life as, a journey and as an experience versus like one big problem after another. It's like, man, that's life, honestly. And so, that's what taking care of your mental health is like. It's one of those things that you got to solve. And it's like, why do I feel this way? Well, let me talk to somebody who knows what they're talking about to kind of get through that as well. So absolutely. So important for me.